I was looking at the app I like to use to find free stuff when I saw the ad for this orange lawnmower. Now at first, I thought I'd hit the jackpot with this one because most times these are an easy fix and flip. However, that was not the case for this mower, and you have to remember complex mowers can sometimes have complex problems to fix, and this one is a prime example of that situation. In today's video, we're going to be looking at this very dirty orange lawnmower. And the problem is that it looks like it has a lot of small issues everywhere, but I'm most worried about the self-propel. Now we can't be certain since we haven't tried it yet, but there are a couple of obvious problems that are staring right at us. But before we go on, we'll need to record all the stickers we can find because I have a feeling we'll be ordering a lot of parts. Now this mower is worth a lot of money in running condition, but we still need to make a budget for this project. Most times, these projects only need a good carb cleaning to get them going again. However, this one is not your typical project. To be honest, with as many small items needing time and money to fix, this mower should have been considered a parts mower, but I don't want to give up so easily just yet. So it turns out there's plenty of gasoline in the fuel tank, which is great news. However, I did have to add a couple of ounces of oil to the engine though. So we might as well try starting the engine and seeing if we get lucky with this one. Well, surprisingly, the engine did start and run, which makes our job just a little bit easier. However, with as many small problems this mower has, it really doesn't make up for it, especially if we need to order brand new parts. Now before we start to fix and inspect this mower, I'm going to give it a quick cleaning first. And initially, I thought it was going to be pretty easy until I saw the underside of the mowing deck. This is what can happen when you mow wet grass, so try and avoid it if possible. Now because this lawnmower has all-wheel drive, we need to remove the cover under the mowing deck to inspect the belt and all the pulleys. So after removing the cover, what we find is quite typical, which are all the pulleys covered in grass and at least one of them having problems spinning. And because one of them was stuck, it's now damaged and will need to be replaced. So it's probably a smart idea to free up the pulleys before you attempt to start the engine and test the self-propel. But depending on how bad the damage is, no amount of fixing will ever make them work like brand new again. So if you spin your pulley and there seems to be a spot that's catching, I would definitely consider replacing it because it's not going to get any better on its own. The last place to clean up is of course the mowing deck and the pulleys. You don't have to clean here very often, but I would at least have a look twice a year. So after giving the mower its final rinse, we'll then give it some time to dry off and then start our inspection and repairs. Of course, you're welcome to work on it while the mower is still wet, but it can make things a bit challenging. So after getting a closer look at the brackets for the handles, it looks like some of the fasteners are just plain missing. That means once we replace those missing fasteners, it should put the handlebar right back in its correct position. So the drive belt doesn't look to be damaged in any way, which means it's at least usable, but it might also be worn down too. But the bigger problem, however, are the front wheels, which are severely out of place. It appears the arms are bent, causing them to look like this, so it shouldn't be too hard to put them back, but you gotta wonder how this even happened. Now because the cable for the self-propel was broken, we weren't able to test it, but with it like this, we can test them individually. The front drive system is having some serious issues just like we thought, but at least the rear one is working well. So I don't think the transmission itself is the problem, but to find out, we need to take the wheels off and inspect the gears. I'm not too worried about the ones in the rear, but it's the front wheels I'm worried about the most. And what we find is very bad news. The gear on the wheel is not only loose, but also broken as well. And to add insult to injury, even the drive gears have been damaged too, and that's because of how badly the wheels were misaligned. So how exactly are we going to bend the arms back into shape? Well, that's pretty simple. We're going to strap the mower to the table, and then using leverage, we'll bend the arms back the best we can. We're also not going to be using any tools to help do this. We're just going to eyeball it the best we can. You can of course use strings and levels if you want to, but I'm choosing to keep this pretty simple. Now, can you break the arms using this method? And the answer is I'm pretty certain that you can, so be very careful. So here's a very sad fact. After bending the arms back into shape, there's a really good chance the front wheel drive system's not going to work. And that's because of all the damage to the gears, large and small. And what that means is, to get the front wheels to work again, we'll have to buy a new set of front wheels, not to mention the smaller gears as well. So I thought the rear drive system wouldn't have any kind of damage to it, but after taking the wheels off the machine, you can see some damage to the small gear as well. So is the rear drive system going to work? And the answer is probably, but with the rest of the system needing replacements, it's not going to make up for it. Now the situation with this bracket is really interesting. The top bolt is missing, but the bottom corner of the bracket is also broken too. So to fix this problem, we'll put the remaining bolt in the top opening and then make a new opening for the bottom fastener. Now you can put thread locker on these if you want to, but I'm choosing not to at the moment. And for the ones that are missing on the rear part of the bracket, we'll just use some nuts and bolts. And to deal with the last fastener, we'll just drill a new opening and install a nut and bolt. So this is not the most ideal way of fixing it, but this is the most cost-effective way too. Now if you wanted to, you could replace the bracket, but as you might have guessed, that would have been a very expensive part to replace. But for right now, we'll just put the wheels back on and then replace the missing fasteners on the other side. Don't forget to check all the other remaining fasteners too, otherwise something else might come loose in the next season. Next, I'm going to do something that you probably should not do, and that is to try and get the bad pulley working again. Don't worry, I have a good reason why I'm doing that, and that reason is for testing. Now the last thing that you want to do is go online and buy a new cable, wheels, gears, and a set of pulleys, only to find out that the project isn't going to go anywhere. But if we can get the systems working briefly, we can see if the project is worth investing all that time and money into. So I've cleaned and lubricated the pulleys and they're working better than ever, but they still need to be replaced later on. But if this was going to be your own personal mower, would it be okay to lubricate them and not replace them? Sure, why not? Now because this project is miles away from being completed, I'm choosing not to install the shield, but you're welcome to if you feel like it. I'm also going to take this opportunity to sharpen and balance the blade, but if you don't want to do that, you can just replace it. I will let you know that if you intend on cutting grass with this mower, even for testing, don't leave the belt and pulleys exposed like this, otherwise they could get damaged. They designed and installed this guard for a reason, so it's best to put it back on before cutting the grass. The last thing we need to do is reattach the broken self-propelled cable to the handle. That way we can test it without using a pair of pliers like we were using before. It appears to be working, but we won't find out until we test it. So it seems like the rear wheels are working, however I can hear the gears skipping a bit, so new gears would definitely be needed. But not even 2 minutes after running the engine, we see something really devastating. What you're seeing is oil leaking from the airbox that's coming from the emissions breather hose. This is about the worst news you can get with this particular engine because fixing it will definitely be more than any consumer would want to do. So what's the plan then? Well, nothing. All the plans stop right here. Until we can fix this oil leak, this project is going nowhere. This is not a case of too much oil in the engine or tilting the mower on its side. This one is an internal problem forcing oil out of the engine, and even for me, this one is a tough project. Not only is there a lot of work involved in fixing it, but it's going to also cost a lot of money on top of all the other parts we need to replace. This project will now go to the graveyard and wait its turn to be torn down and examined, but it's just a real shame because this would have been a really good mower. So my question is, what would you do with this project? Continue to tear it down and fix the leak, or just replace the engine with something a lot better? Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate your time here. Please feel free to ask me any questions about this project or about your own projects, and I hope to see you in the next video.